and welcome to Breakfast for Pancakes. I'm your host, PK Sullivan. Cooking at home is hard to do. It takes time and effort. One of my goals with this channel is to give people who like to cook better recipes, better tools, better techniques in order to accomplish that in a reasonable time with less effort. Today's episode is all about weeknight cooking and using a few techniques I've developed over the last 15 years of home cooking to cook good meals when you are limited on time. Today I'm going to show you how to make a 1-hour roast chicken with sides of roast potatoes and a beautiful herbed gravy. Time management is a big portion of success in your home kitchen. On Sundays I tend to do a big cook. It's usually a large meal that will make leftovers so that we have an easy night down the road in the week. I almost always have room on the stove in order to put one more pot. So when I know I'm going to have roast potatoes later in the week, I will boil those potatoes on Sunday so that they are fully cooked, and when it comes time to roast them later in the week, all I have to do is cut them up, toss them with oil, and put them in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. This is the same idea behind the double or triple frying of French fries in high-end restaurants. The first cook cooks the potato through. The second cook sets the crust. You could even vacuum seal them and stick them in the freezer for weeks or months down the line. The other technique is spatchcocking your chicken. Spatchcock is a word that means to remove the spine and lay the chicken flat. This increases the surface area, lowers the cook time, and in my experience just makes for a better roast chicken or turkey. The nice thing about spatchcocking is it can be done ahead of time. So when you go do your groceries, you can spatchcock your chicken or have your butcher spatchcock it for you. Ask at the butcher counter. They may offer that service. Get home, salt your chicken, stick it in the fridge uncovered, let it dry out so the skin gets nice and crisp when you roast it. And then when it comes time to actually cook it, all you have to do is throw it in the oven for an hour and you are good to go. The last tip of salting your chicken or other meat ahead of time doesn't save you time necessarily, but it does give you a better end result. A chicken or a pork roast or a beef roast or even a steak that you salt the day before is going to be more tender and flavorful than something that you just salt immediately before cooking. Let the salt do its work. The salt will actually permeate further into the meat through the process of osmosis. It will expel moisture and just, it does wonderful, delicious things to meat. Trust me, if you start salting your meat a day ahead of time, you'll never look back.
Ingredients for roast chicken: 1 whole chicken, kosher salt. Seriously, that's it.
To spatchcock your chicken, take 1 whole chicken, get some good poultry shears, and then just use them, cut right along the spine on both sides. And there you go. Spine is removed using a chef's knife. Just lightly score and start to split the keel bone of the chicken. What that's going to do is let us flip it over, press down, and flatten it. With the keel bone scored, simply spread the chicken out, press down firmly in the middle, and now you have a spatchcocked chicken. The next step is to salt the chicken well on both sides. I like to start on the interior, get salt on the exposed meat, flip it over, and salt generously. Ultimately, you probably want to use about 2 teaspoons of salt for a 4-pound chicken. If you have a wire rack size for the pan that you're using, go ahead and use it. It's going to lift the chicken up off the bottom and encourage airflow across the entire chicken, again, just improving its overall cook. It's best to spatchcock and salt your chicken the night before. That gives the salt a chance to fully penetrate the meat and also dry out the skin so that we get a beautiful crispy skin. Moisture is the enemy of browning, so you want the skin of your chicken to be as dry as possible before it goes in the oven.
A brief interlude on chicken stock.
Don't throw away the spine. The spine is wonderful for making your own chicken stock. Go ahead and save it, put it in a zipper bag, stick it in the freezer. After you've saved up 6, 7, 8 of them, go ahead and make a batch of stock. It's going to be delicious. There's a ton of cartilage in here. There's a good amount of fat, and it makes wonderful stock. So if you like making your own stock, hold on to the spines from your spatchcocked chickens for a rainy day.
Now back to the recipe at hand.
The chicken roasts hot and fast. We're going to be roasting at 400 degrees Fahrenheit in a convection oven. If you don't have a convection oven, kick that up to 425. The times should be pretty close, but they won't be exact. Or if you want to do this outside, 400 degrees in a grill works absolutely wonderful. I do this all the time in my Kamado.
Ingredients for roasted potatoes. Pre-boiled potatoes. 4 cloves of garlic, chopped. Olive oil. Kosher salt. Black pepper.
After you boil Yukon Gold potatoes like these, the skin tends to peel away very easily. I happen to like the skin on my roast potatoes, so use a good sharp knife that'll slice cleanly through, and that way you won't have any missing pieces or raggedy edges. So, simply cut the potatoes in half and in half again. To finish prepping your potatoes, get yourself a nice large mixing bowl, add the potatoes to it, followed by a tablespoon of olive oil, your chopped garlic, a good pinch of salt, and some fresh crushed black pepper. Toss to combine. Keep in mind these are fully cooked and therefore a little delicate. Don't be too rough with them. Turn them out to a well-seasoned pan and spread them out. With that, your potatoes are ready for the oven.
Ingredients for gravy. Butter. Fresh rosemary. Fresh thyme. 1 scallion. All-purpose flour. Unsalted chicken stock. Kosher salt. Black pepper. White wine vinegar. Make the gravy while the chicken and potatoes are in the oven. Set a medium saucepan over medium heat. Melt the butter. Add the rosemary, thyme, and scallion. Sauté in the butter until wilted and fragrant, about 3 minutes. Remove the herbs and scallion from the now infused butter. Add the flour and whisk until a smooth blonde roux forms. Slowly whisk in the chicken stock. You want each partial addition to be smooth before adding more stock. Season with salt and pepper, bring to a boil, and reduce to a simmer. Check the chicken and potatoes 20 minutes after putting potatoes in the oven. The Potatoes should have a dark, crispy crust. Use a probe thermometer to check the chicken. You're looking for 180 degrees Fahrenheit or more on the thighs, and 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit on the deepest part of the breast. When done, set aside to rest for 15 minutes while you finish the gravy. Deglaze the roasting pan with some water and scrape up the schmaltz and fond with a spatula. Pour all that into the gravy and bring it back up to a boil briefly while whisking. This will make the gravy rich and filled with chicken flavor. Adjust seasoning with salt and pepper. If it's too rich, add a dash of white wine vinegar to lighten it up a bit. Your 1 hour roast chicken and potatoes with herbed gravy is ready to serve.
Chicken baked for just about 55 minutes, and it's got a wonderful crispy crust all the way around. It temped out at about 160, 165, deepest part of the breast. I let it sit for 15 minutes. The carryover cooking is going to bring that all the way up. The thighs, of course, were temping north of 180, which is just perfect. You want to cook the thighs to a higher temperature so that all the collagen and other connective tissue has a chance to convert into gelatin and just really give you that soft, tender mouthfeel. So, to carve up your bird, split the breast, and then remove one thigh, and the other. That's how I like to serve roast chicken, is in quarters. You can do eighths if you like, but I find a white meat and dark meat quarter works just fine for at home. You can see it is really juicy, just leaking all over my cutting board. That'll be fun to clean up. Get some of these potatoes that look wonderful. The garlic smells great. And a bit of our herbed gravy. That's exactly what I want from roast chicken. Tender, succulent, cut super easily with a knife, very moist. One of the benefits of spatchcock chicken is how easy it is to portion out into quarters. Potatoes are great, super tender. A nice browning on where they were touching the pan. The roasted garlic bits have great flavor. Pairs really well with the gravy. So there you go. That is how you do a whole roast chicken in an hour on a weeknight. As I said, a huge part of cooking successfully at home throughout the week is time management. It's working when you have the time, storing items so that you can work with them later, all that sort of thing. I hope you can put these techniques to use in the future. As an avid home cook, these techniques have really helped me out. They've been indispensable over the years as I've learned how to manage my time, specifically because I was commuting and I didn't have much time to cook, even though I loved to cook. So I learned how to work within my time constraints and turn out great meals with little effort on a rough schedule. Hope it helps you. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. As always, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out as a new creator. I'm hoping to monetize the channel as soon as I can. If you have suggestions for what you would like to see in my Patreon, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. This week's shout out goes to S&S Grills. They make my absolute favorite instant read thermometer, the S&S 100. You saw it here used today. It has phenomenal accuracy, speed, and just a ton of little features. It's magnetized so it actually lives on the fridge right next to the stove. Thank you, S&S. Love your products. Please sponsor me. wasn't intending to eat the whole breast on camera, but here we are. Oh, that's really good.